Damn, G, that's a nice shirt you got on, bro.
Thanks, man. It's a shark.
Is it a megalodon?
Plex, you know megalodons aren't real.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the PHNX Suns Podcast. I'm Lindsay. That's Gerald. That's Plex. That's Espo. Are you guys ready for some Friday shenanigans?
I very much am.
Listen,
Yeah.
this show is very Suns related, but it's got a lot of shenanigans.
I thought you
Yeah.
bailed on the word shenanigans. I
I
thought we were to
refuse.
twaddle.
That's when it's more mean. Shenanigans is still a fun, lighthearted
Yeah.
situation.
All right, fine.
The hooey fooey and twaddle is when it's a little bit more like malicious.
Okay.
There is
Fine.
Okay.
harmful intent behind hooey fooey and twaddle.
We're expanding the vocab. I love it.
We are.
I
We have
support
two
it.
new segments now. One's shenanigans, one's hooey fooey and twaddle. But
Okay.
today,
Ooey,
it's
fooey,
all
twaddle.
shenanigans.
Oh, okay.
Kind of. The beginning part is actually, I'm not mad at it. I'm
The
not mad
beginning-
at it.
No, not at all.
So Kevin Garnett, he went on his podcast and he said some really nice things about Devin Booker and the Suns.
They play. You saw two superstars.
They don't got no depth.
They got two superstars that played this summer. That means something. That means they're in rhythm. I'm telling you, bro, Phoenix gonna be better than what most.
So they're going to win more than 47 games.
I think so. They're gonna be plus 47 to me. And then you got health with everybody.
It's going to be so hard in the West.
Man. So guess what? You still gotta have these young teams develop and be together.
What seed was they this year? 6?
No, they was yeah, they were. Yeah, because they got beat by Minnesota.
6 seed?
Yeah. And that was a so-called terrible year for them. You hear me? I'm telling you, man, Devin Booker can be an MVP. You know what I'm saying? Beal, he can be an MVP. These guys, they got it, bro. And you got KD.
I just think they older.
Yeah, they older.
And
Everybody's older.
And I think these young teams
Everybody's older.
is a problem.
All right, 1, Paul Pierce is a hater. 2, what do you think? Can Devin or Beal or KD win an MVP this year?
First off, I love KG going, everybody's older. I want that as a sounder.
I know.
because
Everybody's
every day
older.
we are older. That is very astute,
It's not wrong.
KG. Can they? Sure. Will they? I don't know. Let's be honest. The Bradley Beal can be an MVP. I don't know if we're still in that phase of his career. I think you could definitely have said that in Washington, but when you have 3 stars like this, I think it's going to be very tough for no matter how well they play for any of the 3 to be MVP.
I loved it. I think KG's right on the money. I mean, listen, is Brad Beal going to win an MVP? Probably not.
Mhm.
Can Devin Booker and Kevin Durant be MVP candidates? Absolutely. These are 2 All-NBA performers. Why not? And so I agreed. I love the point that he made that this was a down year. They were 6th seed and won 49 games, and this was a down year.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at it and you say you're coming back with probably better coaching, better depth, better continuity, hopefully better health, a year under their belt, yeah, I like where KG's at. I think this team's going to be very good. I think this team is going to surprise a lot of people, and I think it's going to be because of what they went through last year.
Mhm.
So I'm totally on board with KG. I see where Paul's coming from, but the truth, chill out a little bit, man.
Well, I love the sentiment that like people are sleeping on this team, that they won 49 games in what was a pretty disjointed and chaotic year. Very bad injury luck as well on top of that. I'm choosing to interpret his words about Bradley Beal in a way that like he can play at an MVP caliber level or something like that. Like I don't think
Yeah.
he's not going to win MVP. He's good. He would be the 3rd candidate on a team with 2 candidates that might kind of cancel each other out in this sort of competition. Because as we know, a lot of times when we look at an MVP, they're carrying their team or they're the certified #1 guy. And between Book and KD, we kind of have a 1A and a 1B situation, however you want to rank them, whatever. Like they are 2 elite top 10 players in this league. And when you do that, that hurts your MVP chances. So I don't think Beal has an actual chance to win an MVP, but I think what his point was is that people forget how good Beal was when he was the guy just a couple years ago. And he can still be that if he finds out where he fits in within this offense.
Well, didn't Beal average, what was it, 18 points last year per game?
Yeah.
Mhm.
How many assists? Do you know off the top of your head? I don't remember.
I think it was like either 5 or
18,
4.
5 and
somewhere
4.
around
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he only played a handful of games, it felt like.
Mhm.
Now add that in all season where they actually have the ability with all three of those guys to mesh and find their rhythm together.
Mhm.
It's not outside of the realm of possibility that those numbers could jump up a little bit and he could, like you said, Gerald, play like an MVP caliber player to an extent with this team.
Yeah, and I don't think he
within
will.
the construct of the team,
Right,
right?
be a
Not
star in your role.
necessarily within like how you would have seen him in Washington.
No. And
Right.
he's not going to be the MVP of this team. He's not going to be an MVP candidate. But if he's a star in his role, I think he stands a good chance of reminding people that this dude is legit. Even last year when he struggled to stay healthy and had all these different roles that were kind of pushed onto him, he still was, I think, the third or second highest third scorer on a team in the NBA.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like that means something. Now we just need him to stay on the court a little bit more and kind of iron out all these different roles that guys are going to have.
Yeah. I mean, this argument has always been like you have the best player, and then you have sometimes the most valuable player, and they're two different entities, right? You can look at a team and say that guy is clearly the best player on the team, but that guy is more valuable because he does things that allows other people to thrive. And it's the whole, the Steve Nash thing. I always go into that. And there's a guy that he mentioned later on in the clip, but not in that clip. And he talked about Tyus.
Mhm.
I'm so big on Tyus right now. And I think we're going to get into a point in the year where is it crazy? I'm going to give you a hot take. Is it crazy to think that a guy like Tyus could lead the league in assists this year?
Nope.
No, I don't think so.
Right. Is it crazy to think that a guy like Tyus, when you look at how he shoots, could have one of these magical years where you're halfway through the year and you're like, this guy's hovering around 50, 40, 90.
I mean, it's no crazier than believing in Megalodon, so why not?
Right? That's facts. But it real. I keep telling y'all, man, y'all sleeping on the Megs, man. But
Are you saying that you think Tyus could also throw his name in the hat? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that he mentioned KD, Book, and Beal as most valuable players, and I think he was talking about in the league perspective. But I think we're going to have a conversation at some point in the year and say, we know KD and Book are the best players on the team, but could Tyus be the most valuable to this team? And so when you get to that area, this team could be very, very good because I think Tyus is going to unlock a dimension of this team that we just could not see last year.
Like an X Factor.
Yes, X Factor.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
So you're not saying
I'm
he's
not
the
saying-
MVP.
no.
You're just saying he is very valuable.
Very, very valuable.
I gotcha.
A valuable
I gotcha.
player to this Phoenix Suns team,
He could be
not
the
the league.
Suns' most valuable individual and what he's able to provide.
Yes, not a league MVP, guys.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here because I could already see hello in the chat. Throwing things out there. Little stinker. But listen, regardless of what happens, because I do think that we might end up, even if the Suns have a phenomenal season, go on to win the whole thing, I do think we end up in a situation like we did with Devin Booker and Chris Paul, where you kind of have split feelings on which one deserves more, which one did a little bit more than the other. And that could become an issue for us when it comes down to the actual voting side of things.
Yeah.
But I will say I appreciate Kevin Garnett giving a little love to the Suns, where everyone else is kind of seemingly ready to count them out still, even with the upgrades they've made this offseason. I haven't seen a complete shift on the Suns yet.
Right. Well, it's one of those weird things where like all these other teams get the benefit of the doubt, and a team with 2 top 10 players and an elite third option, if he can just stay healthy, are not. And I'm at the point where there are like 5 or 6 teams in the West that I'm like, yeah, I can't count them out of winning the West just because we don't know who might or might not get injured during the course of a season. And the West is just so loaded right now. Like you could legitimately make a case for 5 or 6 teams to come out of this conference and go to the finals. It's going to be a bloodbath. We have more parity in the league than we ever have. And I can't fundamentally count out a team that has Kevin Durant and Devin Booker on it. Just period.
Yeah, and I don't think Kevin Garnett really meant that Bradley Beal will be the MVP,
Right.
but I think what the spirit of it is if this Suns team's going to live up to what his expectations are, all three of those guys have to play at a very high level to really get there. And I believe that. I think if they're going to be a 55-60 win team, be towards the top of the West, all three of those guys have to be good.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Real quick, just a reminder, if you're here with us on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button and let us know you're watching in the chat. Good to see all you guys here. Hello, that dude, Joe, Michael, Dagoon. We appreciate you all being in the chat with us. And listen, if you want to come hang out with us in real life, we have a lot of events coming down the pipeline. We've got PHNX Cardinals tailgates, watch-alongs, some D-backs takeovers, PHNX Cardinals full-on travel trip to Miami to watch them take on the Dolphins, happening October 25th through the 28th. That's going to be an epic time. And, of course, when the Sun season tips off, we will have a ton of events as well. The best way to take advantage of all of this stuff, of course, is to become a diehard. Because when you become a diehard, you get discounts on every ticketed event that we offer. But also, if you don't want to become a diehard and you don't want to do the ticketed events, I get that. You can still get all of the information on the events at gophnx.com under the events tab. So whatever your level is, you can come hang.
Do you know if you're a diehard and you go on the Miami trip, you get an actual dolphin?
Yeah?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How exciting.
Yeah.
Not a
Little one,
megalodon?
a big one,
Not a
medium?
meg?
Do you get to pick?
I think it's one that fits in a bathtub is what I was told.
Oh,
okay.
Oh,
Is
okay.
it like one of the grow things? It starts off this big and then you stick it in the tub and then it gets really big. That would be
Most
super fun.
things start small and grow up.
This freaking guy.
All right.
I didn't
On the
mean- oh my
other
God.
side,
Dear Lord, I'm sorry.
we'll
No.
get it together. But first, do you guys like supporting local companies?
I like
Yeah,
anything
sure.
that gets us past that last segment.
There is a really cool local company who is a part of our local company, right? Branded Bills, PHNX, partnered up. Branded Bills is from Mesa, Arizona, and they can help you elevate your headwear. We're talking snapbacks, truckers, fitted, beanies, and even some t-shirts.
Beanies, huh?
Yes, Branded
Interesting.
Bills has you covered with performance and style. We are talking about the perfect headwear and apparel that you can get your hands on. Plus, like I said, who doesn't love shopping local and supporting local? So if you're looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd, Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel that you need. They also have partnerships with ASU and U of A. So if you are looking to get things popping off for before the season tips off,
Yeah.
Branded Bills got you covered. Listen, words are hard,
Get
okay?
those seasons popping off.
There you go. Get those seasons popping off. Head to brandedbills.com. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. That is PHNX for 20% off your first order. If any of you get the beanies, send me a picture. I want to see them.
Okay.
I'm excited.
We got some coming in the studio.
I know,
We're
I'm
gonna
so
get some
excited.
beanies,
I
we're
can't
gonna
wait.
get some hats. It's gonna be great. You know what also is great? Game Time. I love our friends at Game Time. They got a great deal going on for you with the Labor Day sale that they have for Diamondbacks Dodgers, 50% off.
Big series.
Tickets for that huge series. Potential to be in the lead in the NL West if
Full
it goes
games
right.
out, full game series.
Yeah,
Yes.
so take advantage of that. But you know what? They've got all sorts of great stuff over at Game Time, including the Game Time picks that filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. It is unbelievable what you can do with that. It is one of my favorite new features that Game Time has. But I love everything about Game Time, and not just because I'm a corporate shill. It's because I like cheap tickets. I like to procrastinate, and they take care of you when you do that. It is unbelievable for that. As I lose my voice here, apparently.
Oh no.
They have curated deals to make it easier to find the best prices on great seats, and you can see the view from your seat before you actually get to your seat, which sometimes is the most important thing because you don't want to be stuck behind
That's my
a
favorite.
pole or in a place where the view's just not what you want. So you can do that as well. So download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use the promo code PHNX, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time!
Hello, cooked your ass in the chat, Lindsay.
Hello in the chat said, Lindsay just said, quote, hello, fellow kids.
I believe we have one more ad.
We have one more?
I believe
okay,
so.
what do we got?
This is Rhett Reese, Arizona native and writer-producer of Deadpool and Wolverine, and I support Espo for mayor.
I'm Espo, and I approve this message.
Sheesh.
Simple but elegant.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love how he's like, I'm not going to tell you why.
Yeah.
Just know I do.
Just I do.
That's all that matters.
I'm bringing in the big guns. I figured Gerald would appreciate
I love that. Love
Espo's
that.
tapping into his back pocket to you're digging deep.
There's
You're hitting up
Rhett
all
Reese.
the
More coming.
contacts.
That's a big
a big
supporting
get.
person that you got there, man.
That's huge, brother.
Mm.
Wow.
Ryan Reynolds next. No.
The race for mayor
Deadpool,
continues
Zombieland.
here at PHNX. We do have a super chat. The Valley Bros sent us one. Thank you, the Valley Bros. They said, how many wins are we getting this year? 82.
54.
83.
50.
83, that's right.
Yeah,
we can lose that
I'm
one.
with G, 54.
Oh, so you want 82 and 1?
Oh,
I-
82. Yeah, I think it'd be funny.
82 and 1.
It would be really funny. Tell me it wouldn't.
I mean, it would.
Yeah, I mean, it would be funny if it was 82.
Just as long as that one wasn't the in-season tournament championship game.
Yes, that's why it would be funny if it was just that one single game that you lost the whole season.
That'd be upsetting.
I think it'd be
Yeah.
hilarious. All right, guys, we've got some Sun superlatives to talk about today. We found this really fun little grid that is happening on social media right now.
We're doing another hello, fellow kids moment
I'm leaning into it. I'm really enjoying
It's
talking like an
happening
old lady.
on social media.
It is.
On
It's happening on the internet. It's happening on the internet where you go through your team's players all time and you put them in each category.
Mhm.
We've got like underrated, overrated, best, worst, funny, most annoying, best shooter, all that type of stuff.
Mhm.
So we're going to do this together as a group exercise, which means every one of you in the chat, we want to hear what you think about all of
Mhm.
these as well. So let us know where you stand. First and
But
foremost,
wait. We got to establish a ground rule. Okay. We can't repeat
do we?
except maybe one time. No repeats.
We all have to
Except
agree.
maybe
If
one.
We'll
it's
make
a
one
repeat, it has
exception.
to be unanimous.
Yeah. If it's a repeat, it has to be.
Okay,
Yeah.
I agree.
All right.
Okay.
Fine, I'll agree to your rules.
Okay.
this
I just
one
wanted
time,
to lay
though.
some
Just this
ground
one
rules
time.
down.
Okay, first up, most underrated. Honestly, I found this one to be kind of difficult. Oh my God,
You
Eric
and your
said he
Mirza
doesn't know
Teletovic,
it.
Eric.
Dear Lord.
I'm kind of leaning Goran Dragic.
That was where I was leaning too. I think a lot of people have talked about the great point guards in this franchise history,
Mhm.
and he never is listed. And I get it; he's not Nash, he's not Kidd, but I think he was in a vein that kind of carried that tradition on
Mhm.
when he came back. And God, after you watch the point guards that played right after him, you go, yeah, I really missed that guy. I think he was underrated.
I got two guys that jump to mind. It's Goran Dragic and Leandro Barbosa.
I was going to say,
Okay.
Joe in the chat just dropped Barbosa's name.
Yeah,
That's not a bad option.
Leandro and I think where you drafted them and what they were expected to do, the fact that they both Leandro won 6th Man of the Year. Dragic won Most Improved, correct?
And he made an All-NBA
and he made
team.
an All-NBA team that year. It was a shame he didn't make the All-Star team that year. But yeah, I mean, based on the fact that my man Goran just had his farewell,
Yeah.
and that was fantastic, and I love both of them to death. Yeah, let's lean Goran.
I'm good with that. But I
Okay.
do just want to throw out. Austin in the chat said Bull, and I actually kind of love Bull for this.
Not yet, too early.
I love him for this as a mention.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. as a
honorable mention.
Ted says Jeff Hornacek, I think another good honorable mention. And Hello says 1980s Coke, underrated.
Jesus.
Never talked about, was everywhere on this team.
It might have helped. Honestly.
I love that
You
this
never
is,
know.
that's becoming a bit. on
I
this
know, it
program.
really is.
It's a part of our history.
Can I also throw out too that technically aren't underrated because they're in the Ring of Honor, but I feel like a lot of more newer Suns fans don't
They
really
don't
talk
always
about
get
as
the
much, like
love.
Walter Davis and Alvin Adams.
Mhm.
Yeah.
think
I know
you
that
had Connie
Walter.
Hawkins too.
Yeah, like everybody talks, but like everyone knows Walter Davis is our all-time leading scorer. They know Book's going to pass in this upcoming season, but he was like a great that kind of just gets swept
Under
under,
the
like
radar.
especially outside of Phoenix. Nobody, a lot of people don't even know who Walter Davis is.
That's a true.
Yeah.
And Alvin Adams too in that same boat. So I just wanted to throw them a shout out. I think it's still Goji, but
Agreed.
All right, let's do a 180 here.
Mhm.
Who's the most overrated Suns player?
oh,
Here's his pitch again.
Charles Barkley.
stop.
Oh,
stop.
From-
Stop.
no, but
Come
from-
on.
Everybody knows that I love Chuck, right? But
Yeah.
Do
he
you?
was only here 4 years,
Mhm.
which I think people forget. He 92-93 was unbelievable.
Mhm.
Fell short of the goal, obviously.
Mhm.
The next 2 years, I think if Chuck had been more locked in, they're champions twice there.
But that's locked in,
I
not-
get, but I think we remember him in a certain way, and I think
Mhm.
people think he was here longer than he was. And I love Chuck. Like literally, I have a jersey at home. I love Charles Barkley. I play as him on NBA Jam constantly. But I think he might be a guy that in our minds was a little overhyped.
He's a top
Not for
25
me.
player ever. You went to the
Yeah.
finals 1 of 3 times with him and he won an MVP
Yeah.
award. Like, I know that it's short, but we also argued about Chris Paul's impact during 3 years. Chuck is in that same
Yeah.
boat for me in 4
Mhm.
years. There's no way. Like, if we have to put Chuck anywhere, it cannot be most overrated. Like,
No, so
That would be a
Shaq,
little
for me, Shaq
disrespectful.
is over.
Yeah.
Shaq, that
Shaq
whole
is
thing
being
makes
brought
sense.
up a lot in the chat. But to your point, Gerald, when we were talking about this earlier,
Mm.
he wasn't like really loved here in Phoenix.
He wasn't.
too.
Right.
He wasn't.
So
It was a bad tenure, but I'm saying if
mean-
we have to pick, like, when you look at the list of players who have played for the Suns
yeah,
and you see Shaq's name come up and then you
yeah,
remember what those year and a half was, whatever it was.
yeah.
I think people were down on him a little bit while he was here,
No,
which
I-
makes me not
I'll
feel
throw
like
Stephon
he
Marbury
should
out
be
there,
on
too.
that.
I love Chuck.
Mm.
Like you said, MVP,
Mm.
best record in basketball in 92-93, took us to the finals. It's an all-time top 25 player ever.
Mm.
I think people forget that although you have your issue with him, and I respect it, maybe he wasn't as locked in as he probably should have been, and maybe that cost us a championship. What I will say is if you go back to that run, the Suns lost to the eventual champion 3 years in a row and
Mhm.
took them to the brink every time. 7 games to Houston, 7 games to Houston. And then coming from somebody who's had 3 major back surgeries, I will defend Chuck here.
Mm.
Okay. I've had 3 major back surgeries. I know the pain that is, and I never played professional basketball. At that time, at that point in Charles' career, he was dealing with severe back issues.
Mhm.
And so I give him a little bit of a pass on some of the extracurricular stuff because we don't know. God knows, maybe he was doing some of that extracurricular stuff to numb the pain from that aching back, having to be a pro athlete. So, nah, I can't say Chuck. I'll tell you, are we talking about great? Because I tell you a guy that comes right to mind
Who?
that I couldn't. Trevor Ariza.
100%. That's mine.
Trevor Ariza.
Trevor
Okay.
Ariza. We paid him $15 million. He wasn't even here a whole
That's
season.
right.
And he had a bad attitude
Trevor
the
Ariza.
whole time.
And I promise you, I just saw hello in the chat,
Mm.
but that was my
But
guy from the
a
jump.
caveat, I don't think he was underrated or overrated by the fan base. I think
No.
he was overrated
That's
by
true.
the front office and what the
Yes,
front office
yes,
And
did.
he was a
yes,
role
yes.
player
He
that
was a
got
role
a
player, yeah.
1-year deal.
That's
like
true,
as
yeah.
soon as it was signed, some of us were like, a 1-year,
WTF.
$15 million deal. Like, obviously that's heavy. You have to overpay to bring good players to a team that's been trash for a while. But we were kind of like, if he
Yeah.
doesn't perform, like by
Yeah.
December,
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
we're going to be dealing him. And that's exactly what happened. So I
he's-
can't
yeah.
go with a reason.
No. He's not. I don't think he's established enough or good enough. The guy, this hurts me.
Hmm.
The guy I want to say, who I think, if I'm being truly honest, truth serum, and I had to put him in here, is a guy I love and adore.
Okay.
So it pains me.
Uh-oh.
Devin?
No. Come on. You definitely. I love and adore this guy. He was my favorite player ever growing up. And then what happened here happened. And I'm Penny Hardaway.
Mm.
Penny Hardaway.
That's
Penny
not
Hardaway.
bad.
I think what people were expecting of Penny and how it played out,
Mhm.
Man, I was so disappointed.
That's
it
not a
broke
bad
my
pick.
heart. Broke my heart.
That's not a bad idea. For me, it's like Stephon Marbury or Shaq.
Okay.
I feel like people talk about Stephon Marbury's tenure because of that one shot that he hit.
Yeah, the bank shot. Yeah.
What are we
It
going
was
with?
fine.
Landry Shamet? That's a funny
What?
one Brian just dropped.
I mean, a guy like a Marcus Banks to me, but that's a bad signing again.
Yeah.
Tom Gugliotta is an interesting one as well. It was a
I have a
similar
Gugliotta
vein
jersey.
to the Penny Hardaway
Yeah,
because it
injury.
was injury, a guy that came in that you over,
I can't not remember backcourt 2000.
Yeah.
I can't that hype.
There was excitement. There was
the excitement and the hype and what you thought you were getting out of that, and then how it played out. Oh gosh, it was so disappointing.
I think I'm
man.
gonna lean with Starberry. I know that's tough for you.
Okay.
He's
Yeah,
from
no.
your area.
Yeah, I
so.
love Starbucks. My guy, stand
Stephon?
up, Lincoln
Stephon
High
Marbury?
School, Brooklyn, baby.
Okay.
We're going with Steph.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll roll with that. The best son. Obviously, I want to put Devin Booker here,
Mhm.
but there are a lot that deserve a mention at the very least, a conversation more than likely.
Mhm.
Steve Nash, Charles Barkley, Kevin Durant, among others.
Yeah, so it depends on how we're defining best here.
How
Because
are we
like
going to do it?
I think Charles Barkley was the best player who had ever played for the Suns
Mhm.
until Kevin Durant got here.
Talent.
If you're
Agreed.
if you're just looking
Pure
at
talent, yes.
their whole careers, the best player to ever play for the Suns, Kevin Durant. Now,
Agreed.
I do think Steve Nash still has the strongest claim to greatest son of all time in terms of just their son's career. I think Book is kind of the happy medium there, and I think he will be the best son of all time. So I kind of lean towards it. It's kind of crazy. This is going to be his 10th season coming up.
Yeah.
He's going to be the all-time franchise leading scorer. He's going to continue moving up these leaderboards. One of 3 guys to lead us to the finals, led
Yep.
us to our most winningest season in
Yep.
franchise history. So I kind of lean Book on this one, especially because I think there are places on our board for Charles and KD and Steve Nash, so we could still put them in.
I think I have to go that way. Now I think he's gonna have the scoring title. One more finals run, even if you don't win, and it's a lock because that's something 0 people have done. I understand the MVP argument. I understand you say, well, Nash had 2 MVPs, so it automatically puts you there. But you look at what Devin Booker has done, how many records he has in the Suns record book already, the dominance he has in some arenas where he has the scoring record. Like, I think I got to lean there slightly at this point, even,
It's Nash right now. It will be Book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the conversation for me is pretty. It's Nash, Barkley, or Book. Again, Kevin Durant is incredible. But when you're having this conversation, the fact that Kevin just got here, it kind of eliminates that for me with Kev. But if Kev had the amount of time that all those guys had in the Suns uniform, I think it'd probably be Kevin Durant across the board. But because we're talking about longevity and how many years, you got to go Nash with the 2 MVPs, Barkley with the MVP in the finals appearance. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Book. It's for me. It's again, you went to the finals. He had the best record in Suns history. He's gonna be the all-time leading scorer. He's only been here. That to me means something.
Yes,
With the
I
Nash
agree.
and Barkley thing, there's other parts of their careers and things that this is a guy that's only been a Sun and he's going on his 10th year. That's enough longevity, and he's done enough. You had the 70-point game. You had the 2 Olympic gold medals. You had the All-NBA first team. And it starts to become a pretty easy decision. For me, it's Book.
Are we only going players?
Yes.
Because if it weren't just players, Hello has the answer. It would be Al McCoy because he of how long he was here, the voice, all those things. But since we're going players,
I think we're
I'm gonna
just
stick
going
with it.
players. And it might just be recency bias too, but I don't know. I feel like I lean Book here.
Okay.
I know there were a lot of people that you had to at least give a mention to, but for me, it's Book. Are we good with Book?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
The worst Phoenix Sun of all time.
I know who Espo's going to say.
Do you?
I think
I don't even know.
I think I
Robert
do
Horry.
too. Oh, I asked what I was.
See, I struggle because after hearing
Oh, you can't do that.
the story that he
That's
told
totally
me
fair.
here,
You're not wrong.
I'm
But
proud
nah,
of you.
screw- you
I'm
know what?
Oh, no, I was about to be
No,
proud of you,
I-
Espo,
no, honestly,
for your
though,
growth.
No, when you hear the story, it's tough to
It is tough to
begrudge him
remember.
for what happened here as a member
Mhm.
of the Suns. Now, the hip check, I can still feel certain ways about, but I can understand a man going through. It was his kid was ill,
Yeah.
right? Like
That's true.
And
That's
honestly,
dangerously
having
ill.
that
That's true.
backstory does make it a little harder to
It's true.
continue to stay angry at him. One set of players we
Yeah.
can always stay angry at are the
Mhm.
Morris twins.
The Morris.
right?
Yeah, the more
Yeah.
I put them both in there.
Right? Like,
The only,
Yeah, it's the Morai.
the
Should we
only
just-
babies that were
Yeah.
involved in that
Should
were
we
the
roll
two
with
of
that?
them.
No, yeah, I think that's
I feel like
easy.
that's an easy one
That's an
that
easy
won't hurt
one.
anybody's feelings.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no. It's the Morai.
It's the
Yeah.
Morai.
And
There
it's
you
not even
go.
because they were bad players necessarily,
They're
but just
little
like
turkeys.
It's just
Yeah.
a lot, too much noise.
there was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
How they left, what they said about the fan base, all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
That'll teach you to ever elbow me in a tunnel.
What
Yeah.
about the funniest
Oh,
Phoenix Suns?
All right. So here's
There's
the
a
deal.
lot.
We've
This
talked about
one-
this before the show. The funniest Sun probably would be McHale. But
I feel like he, at least in recent history, for sure.
but McHale could be in like a couple other categories. So I think we need to save McHale. Could be Chuck,
Yeah,
could
that-
be Eddie Johnson, could
I
be
vote campaign.
campaign.
I showed you why I think it's Leandro Barbosa.
Leandro
with that
Barbosa was
all
funny.
night long, all night.
I mean, that was hilarious.
I was.
But a lot of fans would not know that
That's true.
Leandro Barbosa is funny.
I tell you a
Jock
guy that's
mentioned
pretty.
too.
I tell you a guy that is pretty funny. He's hilarious behind the scenes. That I don't know if people know that about him, but PJ
Yeah,
was
PJ was
PJ
funny.
was a funny
Yeah.
dude. But I don't think enough people saw
Yeah, that's
there
a
was
be-
that was
behind the scenes.
more behind the scenes stuff. But
I
Mhm.
kind of feel like it needs to be somebody who did it publicly.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
you could point to all of these guys, like when we get to see them at times or whatever,
Mm.
they're all really fun guys and can be really funny. But I think we have to give it to somebody who is willing to do it publicly.
I
What about
agree.
Shaq?
Shaq was pretty funny.
Was that story of him chasing somebody naked in a locker room? Did that happen here?
Yes, that
It
happened.
did,
yeah.
didn't
That
it?
did happen.
There
And the
was-
bench
chasing.
clearing out.
Yeah, he used to steal Lou Amundsen's bike and hide
Yeah.
it around the arena, like all over the arena.
Shaq's pretty funny.
Yeah.
man.
What was the other one? There was another great one that he did, and I'm blanking on it. But he had so many ridiculous things
Mm.
that
That's
he
funny.
would do. At the I
Shaq-
actually think Shaq might be it. I hadn't
Shaq,
thought of
Okay.
it
Shaq
before,
might
but-
be it. Shaq or Barbosa, I think publicly were the two funniest I've seen.
I don't know, man. I still think campaign.
Campaign was funny, but a lot of Cam's funniness stemmed from McHale also. Like the two of them together. were
Oh.
a comedy duo.
I mean, go
You want to
look.
go Shaq?
I
I mean,
would go
remember the
Shaq.
All-Star game here in Phoenix?
Mm.
He comes out with the Jabberwockies and he's
Mhm.
Yeah.
dancing.
I mean, that
like-
was funny.
yeah.
He was only here for a year and a half.
That's true.
Okay.
But then you think of how many funny moments. I mean,
in that year and a half.
Greg Popovich hacking him on the jump ball, and the two of them
Yeah.
laughing at each
Oh,
other.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like that
Mhm.
was here. Like,
Yeah.
eh.
All
Okay.
right. I think we could give it to Shaq.
Go to Shaq.
But just
Normally,
know
we would give it to
it
McHale.
would definitely go to McHale, but we're trying to only have one player on the board for the most part. Remember that.
we got to
okay?
save McHale.
The most annoying Phoenix Sun of all time.
Here's where I
This
circle
is where
back
my
to Trevor
personal
Ariza.
bias gets involved.
Uh-huh.
I totally agree with Trevor Ariza because he was just a little turd.
That just annoyed everyone that you
He
got a
kinda
$15 million
was.
deal for 1 year. You half-assed it for 2 months. And then literally the first day you could be traded, you were so bad that they traded you immediately.
Mhm.
And you were billed as like this guy, him and Ryan Anderson, that were going to come in, help make the team better on the court, but actually provide veteran leadership.
Yeah.
And he came in and just walked through those entire first 2 months.
Couldn't
and
agree
he
more.
literally we had a broke boy owner and he took all the money
Mhm.
that broke boy owner was
And then he
willing to
bitched
pay.
about not being able to get food at the
Yeah.
arena.
Yeah, and I'm
we
just
don't have
Like, bro, you
personal
took
chef?
all the money, you goofball.
and we were in such a dark time too that it was like, bro, you were supposed to be like the hand that helped lifted us out,
Mhm.
and instead you just spat on us and said, "Ha, sucker."
Yeah.
What guy makes that kind of life-altering decision to go somewhere without ever visiting? Could you imagine buying a house without ever seeing it?
Yeah.
Could you imagine going, you know what? I think I'm just gonna marry somebody that I randomly picked,
Yeah.
right?
It's a fucking FaceTime call. He dropped his phone in the car. He's like, oh yeah, 15, I'll take it. Love Phoenix.
I mean, I don't blame. If somebody called me up for $15 million, sure, I'd move into whatever house you were offering me if that was the case.
Facts, but you wouldn't be a little turd about it.
That's right.
No,
you
I
didn't have
might
to be a
be.
turd about
You
it.
know
I'm
me.
saying.
Yeah.
Low key, y'all are gonna hate me for saying that's not. Aaron Baines is on my list.
Oh yeah.
He's
Oh.
You want to
Nope.
provide an explanation for that?
Nope.
You're just gonna take that one.
Yep.
to your
I'm
Okay.
trying
grave?
to.
Just
I'm
gonna
trying
throw
to
that
think who
grenade and let
annoyed
it.
me when I was working there, other than the Morai. Like I can't. I'm trying to think, and I don't remember.
I feel
really
like as
annoying
bad
guys.
as some of the teams have been, I've been mostly lucky to work with people at the Suns that are mostly good people in terms of the players. There weren't a ton of guys that were like Eric Bledsoe wasn't very talkative, but he wasn't a bad guy.
But he was super nice.
Yeah, there were. It was just
You
things
know-
like that.
You know who's an underrated guy? Somewhere on this list. We talked about Horry. We talked about some guys that had short stints.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you a guy that I was told this multiple times, fucking hated being here with a passion and didn't
Really?
hide it. Sam Cassell.
Oh,
yeah, Sam
Hated it.
overrated.
yeah.
Did everything he could to say how much he hated Phoenix.
Yeah.
So he's an underrated guy that was pretty annoying to hear some of the stuff about him. But again, it was too short. He was only here a couple months, and then he was shipped out in the deal that got us Jason Kidd, I believe. Jason, it was Cassell and Michael Finley for Jason Kidd. So thank you very much for hating
So,
Phoenix.
I
Cassell.
have one story of a guy I thought was going to be this the first
Okay.
time I met him. Gerald Green.
Mm.
I
really?
interviewed him, asked him about the dunk contest, and he snapped at me.
Mm.
Don't ever yelling. Don't ever ask me about the dunk. And I was like,
Why?
okay, because
Damn.
that was all people knew him as,
Mhm.
right? And I was writing a feature on him for the program for one of the first games of the year, and he snapped, and then he apologized to me, and then we got along really well. But that was an instant I thought this guy's going to be on that list for me, but turned out not.
We love. He had a little bit of crazy, and we love that about
He
him.
did.
You know, you have to
We
be
all do.
trying to pull off some of the dunks that he
When he
pulled
got
off
mad
on
at you,
people,
did you
like
give him the finger?
the forefinger.
Wow.
Gee, I love you, dog.
Oh, no.
Man, yo,
Wow.
I'm gonna be real talk. That guy's jump shot was fucking phenomenal for that situation. For him having that issue,
Yeah.
bro, it's almost a miracle that he was able to be that much of a good shooter with that issue.
Yeah.
It happened when he was a kid.
Yeah, got
and
his ring. He had
got
a
ring
on, it
caught
was
up
like
on the
his-
on the door. Yeah.
Yeah.
it
And
ripped
he
his
was
fingers.
able to do some incredible things. And I used to slow down his shot sometimes to just watch the rotation. I was like, man, this guy's good, man. That's incredible. Good for Gerald Green.
All right. Most potential.
Wait, did we?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
we
Trevor
did.
Ariza.
All right.
I vetoed all of
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure for the audio listeners that can't see our
Yes,
board.
Trevor Ariza is our most annoying son.
Yeah.
Most potential.
So we got most potential followed by most wasted potential.
Or when we say most
Yes.
potential,
They're the same person.
Yes, they
Is
are.
it?
this
It
is this is
Let's
the
be
one
honest.
overlap
Let's
that
be
we're
honest,
gonna,
guys. It is. It's DeAndre Ayton.
Yes.
It's
He
got to
had and still technically has the most potential, and he also is just letting it just dwindle
Sit there.
away.
be. Yeah.
Da could be a phenomenal basketball player, but I don't think he wants to be.
I do not disagree here.
Yeah.
It
He was
sucks.
the only number one pick we've ever had too, because it has to be someone that we drafted high and had high expectations for. That's DA to a T. I mean, you could make a case for Josh Jackson, but our expectations for him were
they
not on
weren't
the
what
same
DA
plane as DA.
I tell you what.
No, he wasn't.
about-
I know we ain't get there yet, but Dark Voida,
I was
I'm
going
with
to
you
say
on that.
wasted potential.
Yeah.
I'm
Richard
with you on
Schumer.
that.
Mhm.
I am with you on that, brother. I have heard some
can't-
stories.
I can't do it over DA.
Okay. So I think it depends on the way you look at wasted, right? Like wasted potential.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the way Dumas had it happen is sad because it was drugs. It was bad choices in that way. And to me, it feels like a more wasted potential. DeAndre Ayton being unmotivated and
Yeah.
not working towards that, Well, it is.
It's tough.
Oh, that is.
I
tough.
still lean. I
Like,
still lean DA because of
Yeah.
the circumstances and the time frame.
Yeah.
Him being the number 1
Yeah.
overall pick and all that stuff. But Richard Doom is wild, man. I tell you, if that guy would have kept it together, the Suns will have a championship
Yeah.
already.
I've seen Bobo in the chat for most potential. Guys, I love you, but there's a difference between a guy who was drafted number 1 overall to be a franchise cornerstone and a guy who was drafted in the 2nd round.
That's
It's
right.
just
I
little
think
degrees
if-
of separation
Yeah,
there.
if we were only doing current Suns, I would probably put Bobo as most potential.
Yeah, if we were doing current Suns.
Current
and,
Suns,
and
yeah.
people saying, Book, you got to remember.
Huh?
People are
He was
saying most
13th.
potential for Book, not
no,
Ways.
no.
But when you look, you got to remember, people didn't look at it that way.
He
when
didn't even
first
play
came
his
here.
first
Yeah,
30
like,
games.
yeah.
He's barely playing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
they wanted Frank, which we love Frank, but we're glad Frank didn't end up here that time.
Until
Yeah.
later.
That time,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, best passer.
I mean, it's
Steve
Steve
Nash.
Nash. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had to save him for
This
this
one's-
one
yeah.
too.
Kendall Marshall. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
will say like Chris Paul,
That's what I
Jason
was gonna
Kidd,
say.
they're
Yeah,
in the
they're all
conversation,
great,
but we got to
yeah.
go with Steve.
It's
The
Stevie.
creativity
Yeah,
of Steve
it's Stevie.
passes.
Yeah.
It's
Beautiful.
Stevie.
Just some,
yeah.
I mean, sometimes when you're just feeling depressed, just go watch some Steve Nash assist highlights.
Mhm.
It'll cheer you up.
Crazy.
Best
Yeah.
perimeter defender.
All right.
I'm a roll with Mikal.
Mikal.
That's
Yeah, that's
my
easy
vote.
for me.
Sean Marion's
it's gonna be
Sean
Sean and
Marion and
Mikal,
McHale are very close, but I think you go with the guy that was, DPOY runner up.
Yeah.
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 But I do think
You know,
we
Sean
could-
never made an all defensive team.
Hmm?
I think it's a travesty. Sean
Sean
never
never
made
made
it all
I know
defensive
that's
team.
that's crazy.
Because of the
nuts.
perception of
Because
that
of
7
perception of
seconds
that
or less
team, yeah.
Suns. I mean,
Mhm.
that,
But yeah, this Mikal. This
Yeah.
Mikal all day.
What about best rim defender? You want to give
We
the nod
haven't
to
had
Sean here?
I kind of want to give it to
Tyson
Sean
Chandler.
here.
I think
Tyson
it's-
Chandler.
I'm going Sean.
I kind of
Marion.
like giving Sean some love as a defender because he was so versatile. I think he's like 5th or 6th on the Suns
In
all-time
blocks.
block
Yep.
leader. Like obviously was
Yeah.
here for a while to do that, but to
I'll
be
give
able to
Sean.
be a
I
guy
like
that was
Sean.
steals and blocks, we can give him
Yeah.
some love
Yeah.
because we haven't really had historically great rim protectors in
No.
our organization either.
I mean, if you were looking entire
Mm.
career, I think it would, not just Suns. Tyson obviously is the
Yeah.
guy, but I agree with you
Yeah.
from a Suns perspective.
Yeah, I'm
Third
going
all time.
Sean.
Okay. Okay.
I'm going Sean, yeah.
Okay.
And we should shout out Larry Nance because I think he's our all-time blocks leader. Eric?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, most athletic.
Amari.
Have we had a lot of like crazy athletic?
Not
guys?
cra- not-
It
not-
doesn't
not
feel
a
like we
lot.
have, right?
Not a lot.
Look
A
you.
low key though.
Stop.
Jalen
No,
McHugh
no, Jalen was a nut.
is
Nut.
super athletic.
Nut.
Yeah.
Freak. But no, we're not
I'm not
doing
saying to
that.
put him on the list. I'm just saying.
No, he was.
Yes,
He
yes.
was.
Amari was the most freakish thing I've ever seen at that time. When we got to that time
Mm.
in that phase of basketball, there was a
Ooh.
crazy moment where I saw like Amari. He picked the ball up. He was in the paint, like halfway. Ball rolled. He picked the ball up like a tennis ball and just jumped up and just banged it on some dude's head.
Mhm.
And then I was like, damn, that was pretty dope. He'll never do that again. And in the same game, like,
Mhm.
boom. Yeah, Amari was a freak, man. Pre-injury. Pre-knee
Yeah.
injury.
Mhm.
Amari was one of the most freakish athletes I've ever seen play the
There
game
is a
basketball.
lot of love for Gerald Green in the chat here.
Gerald wasn't.
Oh, Gerald's a
He was.
freak.
Remember when he
That is a
threw it
great
off the
one.
backboard to himself and dunked it in that game?
Mhm.
Like, yeah.
Derek Jones Jr. is also being brought up in here from a dunking perspective
Yeah.
for
Oh, yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
I think
He was a high flyer.
I think
Yes.
Connie Hawkins for his time. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Most people don't know a lot about it, but yeah,
Mhm.
he was an athletic freak, and palming the ball and
Yeah, all over
that,
the place.
like,
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's got to be
It's-
Amari.
yeah,
for me,
Pre-knee
it's
injury
Amari.
Amari.
Especially because if we don't do Amari now, I don't think he's going to
He
get
gonna
any
get
of these
in.
other ones.
I mean, he
Stat,
ended,
baby.
he
Standing
ended
tall, talented.
guys
Yeah,
with
he
the-
did.
with
Yeah, he
those
did.
dunks.
Yeah, he
Just
did.
absolutely murdered them.
If you go back and watch just the 3 years of Amari before the knee injury, the highlights, man,
It's
it'll
insane.
blow your mind.
He was like a human megalodon out on the court, right? Flex?
I've seen him.
Just
I'm telling y'all, they
eating
out there.
people for
Amari
lunch.
might be one of them megalodons.
That's where
man.
you got it from.
Yeah.
All right, best handles. This feels like when we can
Hey.
give the nod to Chris Paul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
I think Chris Nash CP3.
Hold on, give me a second.
Who was
Let
the
me
other
get a
one?
second. to
Jason
think.
Kidd. Yeah, those are all
Give me
in
a
there.
second to think.
But
So
some of the shit Chris Paul did was like, even in his
Mhm.
elderly 30s,
Mhm.
who was it that he bounced the ball between their legs on the Rockets?
Oh,
Yes,
He
Usman
nutmegged him.
Garuba. I mean,
let me
I
just
think
think
nutmeg's
about
the
it,
word we
because
could say.
here's the thing yeah, it's Chris. It's because listen, Steve had good handles.
he did.
But it wasn't
It wasn't making
Cross
you look like
you
a
up.
fool.
it wasn't shifty handle. It
Mhm.
was just like I can go I can do some things and get you off balance,
Mhm.
but it wasn't like Allen Iverson break your ankles, and neither was Kidd, and that's what blew my mind. We tried this talk the other day.
Mhm.
I used to see Jason Kidd live, and I was mesmerized by the fact that he was able to get the spots on the court without having like flashy killer crossover dribbles. He just very simplistic. But what Chris can do,
Yeah.
like Chris's sham god is crazy.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, Chris. That's the
Okay.
point, girl.
I can't go without mentioning, and the people in the chat bringing this up, Jamal Crawford.
Oh, geez,
The
Louise.
only
Okay,
problem-
baby, now we talking.
The only problem is if we're going like there's a short amount of time, Jamal had even less.
He
than
was
Chris
40.
Paul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He was 40, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah, I think he was 40 when he played.
He was
for us.
40 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah,
Best
again,
ball handler I've ever seen in my life.
Again,
In
if
his
it was
prime.
In his
overall,
prime.
no doubt, it's
Yeah,
Jamal
yeah.
Crawford.
I feel like we have to mention Jamal, but we have
Yeah.
to give it to Chris
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah.
Longevity matters.
But I
yeah.
do love that you guys are giving love to Jamal Crawford.
Jamal
Yes.
Crawford, jeez.
All right, here we go. Best shooter.
This
There's a
one's
Steve
lot
Nash.
man.
that you could toss
Steve
in
Nash.
here.
So we
Walter
can't do
Davis.
twice.
Right.
For
Right.
me, Steve Nash, 50, 40, 90, multiple years, the way he did it.
Mhm.
I argue Steve Nash might be the best shooter ever when you look at all the statistics.
Not better than Steph though.
No, not Steph's. I'm sorry, guys.
Non-aliens.
Yes, Steph's an alien.
Right.
But if you take Steph out of the mix, you can make an argument that Steve Nash statistically is probably one of the best or the best shooter. And NBA hit. I mean, guys, 50, 49, how many times? 4 times?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I mean, if you look at his time with the Suns, he averaged a 50, 40, 90. He did it, I think, 4 or 5 different times during his time here. The problem with Nash in that conversation is that like the volume wasn't as high as people wanted it to be then, and especially compared to like now.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of candidates because like Grayson just had a great season, but it was only one season. KD is one of the most freakish shooters for his size ever. We got to bring up Q Rich and Raja Bell because they're
Jeff
high up.
Hornacek.
How about Walter Davis? His nickname was the man with the velvet touch because his jumper was so smooth.
I get it, but it was also like from the mid range.
Is that not a shot?
It is,
Does that
but
not count anymore?
of course it counts, but you got to give the edge to dudes that were shooting threes and getting credited for it. Like
Jimmer Fredette, Johnny.
Jimmer.
You know, this
Shit.
is a tough conversation because you're gonna have the errors that they're gonna play a
Right.
factor in this.
Like we got Cam Johnson, Joe Johnson,
Joe
Jeff
Johnson.
Hornacek, Channing
Yeah.
Frye, Dan Marley. We've had some great shooters.
Here's my question.
If you say Mirza
here's my-
Teletovic again,
You're
I'm
fired.
coming over there.
Yep. Rex Chapman.
Here's my thing. So we know Steph's an alien and Steph is in a different area as everybody.
Mm.
But, you know, when I look at Steve Nash, again, I look at the 50, 40, 90. I remember growing up, if you did 50, 40, 90, first of all, you were considered an alien shooting a basketball. And there were only a handful of people who ever did it twice, let alone once. And then Steve started doing it like every year,
Mhm.
right? So that's number one. Number two, the volume, you have to take that into consideration. What does Steve Nash look like if he can take 11 threes a game?
Does Eddie deserve some love here?
The smooth
DJ
shooter
Smooth
was
shooter,
nice.
jump shot
yeah, I
eight,
mean, of
like,
course.
Like, a guy who had I think 43 and a half
Mhm.
based off of jump shots. Like, I mean, I think he needs to be considered, but you
Yeah.
know what? KD
I feel like you give it to
KD
KD.
has to be,
Just because he can do it from everywhere on
Anywhere.
the floor, and I know
Yeah.
that he doesn't
Yeah.
have the volume compared to some of these other guys. Like I would throw Raja Bell near the top of that list just because of you look at the all-time leaderboards where he is on those, and he was shooting a lot more threes than people were back at that stage. But like Kevin Durant is just an unreal shooter from every phase of the floor.
Yeah, I mean, you 55, 40, 90 for KD. I mean, yeah. It's KD.
It's KD.
Let's do KD.
It's KD.
If
All right.
KD weren't here though, I'd
Mhm.
be arguing pretty damn hard for EJ.
That's
EJ?
fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have EJ as a mention in the last one, but before we get there, best in the post.
Charles Barkley.
Charles.
Yeah,
no
this is where you
question.
kind of give him.
Shout
a
out to
little
Mark
credit,
West.
Yeah, yes, Mark deserves credit there too. Even Barkley defensively pulled a chair on a guy in the post. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, Chuck was phenomenal.
Best
in the post.
role player. See, I feel like you could totally throw EJ into this one.
Yeah.
I mean, DJ. Listen, I still believe. Still believe it may be a fact. I mean, I don't think the 6-man is recognized the way it is if it's not for EJ. I think he was the original Dundada of that. Like he was the first guy that you looked at and was like, oh shit, let's call that guy a 6-man. He's a starter that can get 20,000 points almost.
Right.
Most was 19,000. How many?
I think
How
he
many
has the most points ever
off the
scored
bench
without being an all-star too.
That's right. So
I gotta give some love to my guy Grant Hill. Also Jay Crowder. I mean, he was like the quintessential role player on a team that went to the finals and then won 64. Jared Dudley, Torrey Craig, Raja Bell, Leandro Barbosa, Cam Johnson. Like we've had
a lot
of great role players.
Yeah,
and we've loved each and every one of them.
We have
more than we should have.
Yes,
more than we should probably. But
who are we rolling with?
I love Socks.
I would my vote.
Socks?
Oh yeah, Elliot Perry. My vote would either be EJ, Grant Hill, or Leandro Barbosa. But I understand Grant Hill is because of my personal bias.
For me, it's EJ or Barbosa, and you could convince me either way.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm going Barbosa.
Okay.
I can go
give you-
Grant Hill too though.
I'll give you Barbosa just because I know it's going to upset EJ.
I was gonna say to not upset EJ, should we throw EJ in there?
No, it's more fun to upset
You know
EJ.
EJ's gonna have something to say about it.
I'm just going to turn off my notifications on the PHNX Suns account for the
Uh-oh,
weekend.
we're gonna be in trouble.
I'll be fine.
Are we rolling with Barbosa?
You
here?
bunch of couch potatoes and water boys.
We love you, EJ.
EJ was great, man. EJ was great.
But I'm going Barbosa. So
Okay.
Gerald?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right. Leandro Barbosa it is. Listen, I'm not
All
mad
right.
at this.
No.
I can't see it enough to be able to recap it. Let
Do you want
see
me
if
to
I can
recap?
make this
I can
with some
recap
big
it.
eyes. Yeah.
All right. So we got most. You got it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You good.
We got most underrated Goran Dragic. We got most overrated Stephon Marbury. Best Devin Booker. Worst the Morai twins. Funniest Shaquille O'Neal. Most annoying Trevor Ariza. Most potential and most wasted potential, both DeAndre Ayton. Best passer, Steve Nash. Best perimeter defender, Mikal Bridges. Best rim defender, Sean Marion. Most athletic, Amari Stoudemire. Best handles, Chris Paul. Best shooter, Kevin Durant. Best in post, Charles Barkley. And best role player, Leandro Barbosa.
I'm not mad at this list.
I'm not either.
I'm
no,
not mad at
I
this
think we
list.
got to a
No,
pretty good
I
spot.
actually like it. I think it's rock solid.
Yeah.
And I have seen a lot of people bring up Raja Bell because we didn't include him in best perimeter defender. Raja Bell was a very good perimeter defender.
Scrappy as hell.
He was not
yeah.
Mikal Bridges,
No.
or even Sean Marion, to be honest with
No.
you.
Leo sent us a super chat and said best hype man.
Campaign.
Campaign
Yeah.
for sure.
No,
Oh, no,
Alan
this
Williams.
Oh,
Big
Alan
sauce.
Williams.
Alan
Yes,
Williams.
big sauce,
That's
no
fair.
doubt.
100%. Alan Williams.
Big sauce, no doubt.
Slightly below him campaign.
That's fair.
I've
Yeah.
told the story how I got called out for saying I wanted Alan Williams
Yeah.
as my hype man at work. Alan Williams
Yeah.
is the best hype man.
Yeah,
Ever.
for sure.
Yeah.
Brian sent us a super chat. Thank you, Brian. They said the Sticks kids will not forget this travesty.
Best song written for a player.
Not
There we
Sticks
go.
kids.
Literally anything else.
No song wins before that song wins. Just kidding.
Oh,
Just
man.
kidding. We're friends.
Mhm.
We can be friends.
Mhm.
That's okay. We're friends.
Maybe.
Listen, on the other side, we've got some important things to share with you. But first, if you missed out on Circle K's big time discount of 40 cents off per gallon yesterday, shame on you because I told you like 17 times this week. Okay, I couldn't have told you more.
Your problem.
But everybody who filled up at Circle K yesterday who was a part of the Inner Circle membership got 40 cents off per gallon. But if you missed out, it's okay. We still got some deals for you. Right now, when you sign up to be a part of the Inner Circle free membership for Circle K, you can save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. You also save 3 cents per gallon every single day. They also have member exclusive deals like a beverage deal that's going on right now where you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents at any Arizona location. You can find that deal in the app under Inner Circle and offers. They also have a variety of offers throughout. They just kind of mix them up every once in a while. Sometimes it's gas related, sometimes it's a buy one get one, beverage discounts. There's a lot of perks to joining this free membership program from Circle K, so make sure you do that. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. Also, it's a long weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might just be like, oh, I'm just going to get a little extra snack, a little treat to start the weekend off on the right foot. I've told you this 100 times, but just in case you're new here.
Double corn.
Dark chocolate covered almonds
Double
from
corn.
Circle K, the way to go. It is. It just is.
Listen to her, fellow kids.
Listen here, youths.
I feel like I got
You
underrated in best hype man, right? Because
Yeah.
Sanderson Ford is the best Ford dealership in the United States, according to me.
Okay.
And you know, I love
Like
them.
that.
I had a lot of fun out when we got the chance to go out there and explore Sanderson Ford. I am still considering one of those Mustang Mach-E's. I got a chance to see one out there. I'm going to probably test drive one with them, and then I'm going to spend my hard-earned cash potentially on driving one of those bad boys. And you can do that over with Sanderson Ford, but it's not just that. They got the 2024 F-150s, Escapes, Edge, Explorers, Expeditions, the Bronco. If you're in for the Bronco, they got that
They're so
as
pretty.
well. It's spectacular what they've got going on. And, you know,
They are.
they have a huge Labor Day sell-a-thon with rebates up to $3,400. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend, go buy a car. That's a great thing to do and
Facts.
get those savings. And Sanderson Ford has the Sanderson Ford Playoff Payoff Sale with no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense. You don't want to be annoyed when you're making that kind of a decision and spending your hard-earned cash on a new vehicle. And our friends at Sanderson Ford will make it easy for you over there. And they're giving you big payoffs like 0% financing. I love this so much. I'm
Getting
choked up.
choked up. I
With
get
just
it.
and like I mentioned, they have that sell-a-thon rebate for Labor Day up to $3,400. All offers expire 9/3/24. That's September 3rd. 1924 or 2024, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Finance offers for 30. I'm reading the verbatim thing I have to read. Finance offers for 36 months OAC through Ford Motor Credit up to $3,400 in rebates on that F-150 XLT. Get 0% down for 36 months OAC from Ford Credit. See dealer for details.
Yay!
My God.
Got Espo losing his voice. Lindsay getting cooked in the chat
My
again.
God.
Oh, said Lindsay, quote, get this candy. It's easy to fire, no doubt. Just like this.
Oh, man.
Hi, Vay. All right. Well, we had one more segment planned for you guys, but we'll save it for next week. But before we get out of here, we do have some news to share. Espo?
So our dear friend Flex is leaving us after today. He is my brother, not literally, as you can tell, we don't look anything alike, but he is a guy that I've appreciated having along for the journey. The man, you may not know, but the man lived a different life. He was, had a job for 25 years and retired from it, came straight here. And now he's going to enjoy a little bit of that retirement, travel, have some fun. But I will never forget the last year. I know you'll be around. We'll do some things over this season. But I am so happy for you and your family that you get to actually enjoy a little bit of time, brother. So
Let's
Yes.
do it. My God.
Hey, that was
love
actually
it.
good on
That
the
was
first
good.
try.
I love
Look at
that. I love it.
yeah.
I mean, this is tough, man, because listen, I'm a man of God. I'm a man of faith. You know, I've never had a problem telling people I love them. And I truly love every single one of y'all here. You guys embraced me. You taught me this business. I learned a lot. This business is tougher than people think. There's a lot of hard work that comes into it. People grind every day. And for someone who's very new to this business, coming in and seeing that was humbling. But again, I wouldn't trade this for anything. It was one of the most fun years I've had, getting to meet people and call people family and friends. And like I said, I love you guys to death, and I thank you for welcoming me and giving me this opportunity.
I'm dragging your ass back here during the season.
Oh, yeah. This is not the last
This
you
is
will
not
see of
Exactly.
us.
This is not goodbye. This is just see you later, a little less. It's
Right.
like, you know, that
I
one
like
family
that.
member that's like, I'm going to move a little bit farther away from you guys,
Mhm.
but I'll still come visit.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
look, we were in a serious relationship. Now we can be a little less serious. You know, it's fine.
I think I love that.
Mhm.
I love how you say this is not goodbye. This is I'll see you later. I'm not going anywhere. I love you guys too much. I got too much respect for what y'all do, and I am going to enjoy retirement. I'm going to spend some quality time with family. I'm going to spend some quality time with God and my faith. Travel a little bit, recharge the batteries, and hopefully somewhere on that trip I don't get eaten by a megalodon or something. But
Right. That would be the concern.
yeah,
Can you promise me one thing?
Yes.
You will come back for at least one pregame show so you can make a bet and hopefully win.
We got to redeem you.
just
I'm-
watch it.
need
Walk
one
out.
win and
dub.
go out on top.
Just
Walk
one
out.
dub.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a bet. Bet it. Book
my
it. I'll be
gosh.
here for
Love
a bet.
Oh,
And hopefully y'all
Yeah.
tolerate me for a couple more of those pregame
Absolutely.
things.
absolutely.
I just want to say, like, it was a pleasure getting to know Flex over the last year because, you know, I only knew him online about a year ago.
Mhm.
And flash forward to May, and this guy's dancing on my wedding floor, just having the best time. And I think when we do this show 5 days a week, it can be a little bit of a grind, especially during the season. And Flex brought an amazing dose of just optimism and positivity to it every day. He's one of the more affirming people that I've met. And so it's nice that even though you won't be on the show with us every day, you know, we're going to be able to look at this as like we made a lifelong friendship out of this.
Absolutely.
Look,
Love you, G.
I'll tell you this. You guys know Flex. I know Felix. And there's no better man, husband,
Oh,
father than this guy. I am proud to call him my brother. So
You're going to
Love
make
you,
him
dog.
cry.
You're gonna get me emotional. Man. You're gonna get me emotional.
Oh, we love you, Flex. And
Thank
we will
you,
see
Linz.
you throughout the season for sure. He'll join and then we'll be able to still have some good times together. But here's the thing. Not to end on a sad note, I have one final thing planned for you guys. We did get to have one last hurrah as a crew. You guys all saw the picture of Josh Bartlestein, Yusuf Nurkic, James Jones together in China, but little did you know, Espo was there too.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, of course Espo showed up.
Look at
Espo
that
shows
hat.
up to everything.
I do. I just crash parties.
Surprisingly enough, Gerald didn't want to miss out. He was like, I'm down. So Gerald showed up too. Then Eric got a little bit of FOMO. I was like, don't forget about me, you guys. I showed up for like 5 minutes, okay? I just said I had to pop in and say hi, and then I left.
Okay.
But Flex made it before I left,
There you go.
which was impressive.
Yeah.
So we got one last hurrah in, you know what I'm saying? But wait, Flex, what is that behind you?
Oh my God, that's a megalodon.
down. I told y'all.
We all silly like the mayor.